Introducing the Assistant and Associate Deans, Dr. Robert Neuva, Dr. Linda Gillum, Cheryl Verbruggen, Richard Kelly, Dr. Angela Nuzzarello, Dr. Robert McCauley, Dr. Nelia Afonso, Michael Herbert, Brooke Taylor, Dr. Defrey DeVries, Dr. Linda Misra, Dr. Vanda Douglas Nikitin. I also extend welcome to my colleagues, the Oakland University Deans, Dr. Michael Mazzio, Dean, School of Business Administration, Dr. C. Robert Maxfield, Dean of the School of Education and Human Services, Interim Associate Dean Dina Hayes, representing the School of Nursing, Dr. Kevin Corcoran, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, from the Oakland University Library's Interim Dean, Dr. Nancy Bulgarelli. I welcome Oakland University's Vice Presidents Rochelle Black, John Young, and Eric Barrett. I also welcome Oakland University academic officers, Senior Advisor to the President for Diversity and Equity and Inclusion, Dr. Patricia Dolly, Associate Provost, Dr. Michelle Piskalich, Senior Associate Provost, Dr. Susan Aubrey. It is also my privilege to welcome members of the Oakland University Board of Trustees, Trustee W. David Toll, Trustee Melissa Stoliker, Trustee Michael Kramer, Trustee Richard Flynn, Vice Chair Richard L. DeVore. Representing Beaumont Health, the exclusive teaching partner of Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, is Dr. David Wood, Chief Medical Officer and member of the Beaumont Trustees. I now welcome platform members who will be participating in this afternoon's ceremony. Keynote speaker, Dr. John Prescott, Chief Academic Officer of the Association of American Medical Colleges. Honorary degree recipient, Mary Fisher, author, artist, AIDS prevention advocate. Oakland University Board of Trustees Chair, Mark Schlussel, Oakland University Provost, Dr. James Lentini, and Oakland University President, Dr. George W. Hynd. I would also like to welcome at this time the faculty of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, led by School Marshal Dr. Sandra LeBlanc's Assistant Dean for Student Affairs. The Department of Anesthesiology, Dr. James Grant, Chair. The Department of Biomedical Sciences, Dr. Judith Venuti, Chair. The Department of Cardiology, Dr. Simon Dixon, Chair. The Department of Emergency Medicine, Dr. James Ziotta, representing Dr. Terry Kolenko, Chair. The Department of Family Medicine and Community Health, Dr. Paul Mish, Chair. The Department of Internal Medicine, Dr. Michael Maddens, Chair. The Department of Neurology, Dr. Daniel Menkes, Chair. The Department of Neurosurgery, Dr. Fernando Diaz, Chair. The Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Dr. Ray Bahado Singh, Chair. Department of Ophthalmology, Dr. Robert Grenadier, representing Dr. George Williams, Chair. Department of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. David Collin, representing Dr. Jeffrey Fishgrun, Chair. Department of Pathology, Dr. Mark Collins, Chair. Department of Pediatrics, Dr. Brian Berman, Chair. Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, Dr. Ronald Taylor, Chair. Department of Psychiatry, Dr. Ron Samarian, Chair. Department of Radiation Oncology, Dr. Craig Stevens, Chair. Department of Radiology and Molecular Imaging, Dr. Dwayne Meswa, Chair. Department of Surgery, Dr. Alan Coffrin, Chair. And the Department of Urology, Dr. Kenneth Peters, Chair. At this time, I invite everyone to rise and to welcome the members of the class of 2015, led by School Marshal Christina Grabowski, Assistant Dean for Medical School Admissions and Financial Services. The classes will march in by PRISM groups and led by their PRISM mentors. Please remain standing for our national anthem. Please be seated. It's a special honor for us to welcome today County Executive L. Brooks Patterson. Thank you, Brooks, for your presence. I'd also like to recognize a very special community. That's the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, which is, after all, a community. And this year's graduates are accompanied by members of the student body. Will the class of 2018 rise? The class of 2017? And the class of 2016. Please be seated. I'd like to take a moment to recognize and acknowledge the fact that there are some people who really wanted to be here today who sadly are not with us. Our thoughts turn to Dr. Daniel Piper, who passed away about 2 weeks ago. Dr. Piper was a beloved professor of neurosurgery. He was a neuro-oncologist who handled the most challenging and difficult cases, malignancies at the base, tumors of the base of the brain and the base of the skull. It's interesting that Dr. Piper was informed just days before he passed away that he had received the honor and he had earned the honor of being promoted to full professor in this medical school. We miss Daniel very much. I also want to acknowledge, sadly, the passing of a very beloved professor from the Department of Pathology who passed away a couple weeks before Dr. Piper, Dr. Rajwant Malhotra. Dr. Malhotra loved medical students. She loved OUWB, and you all returned the affection. I knew Dr. Malhotra as a colleague in the Department of Pathology, and I will tell you that when I reached the limits of my own knowledge and skills, I would frequently run down to, we called her Raji, to Raji's office, and she would always greet me with the kind words of, "Let's figure this out together." Dr. Malhotra will be missed, and she'll be in my memories. And finally, I would like to acknowledge that we miss, sadly, the passing of our beloved colleague, Dr. Michelle Rabel. Dr. Rabel, as many of you know, was the founding dean of undergraduate medical education here and helped to write your curriculum. I knew her in another light, and in fact, a couple of months ago when I went to a meeting of academic pathologists, no one knew me as a dean. They knew me only as, "You worked with Dr. Rabel." Dr. Rabel passed away after a struggle with the treatment of leukemia only about 6 weeks before your arrival. She really wanted to be here to greet you. So we miss all three of our beloved colleagues, and I ask you to observe a moment of silence in their memories. The memories of our colleagues and teachers always serve for a blessing, and may they all continue to inspire us. At this time, I wish to welcome to the podium Chair of the Oakland University Board, Mr. Mark Schlussel.
Thank you, Dr. Folberg. I have to confess, I feel a bit presidential at the moment because it's not often you can give a speech where your cardiologist, Simon Dixon, is 10 feet away and your internist, Sandy Scheuchert, is 30 feet away. So I feel relatively secure that I have Beaumont doctors. I would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge a very special person here, Gene Michalski, who we worked with elegantly. Gene, would you please rise so we can be acknowledged? Gene was part of our team, worked very diligently as the CEO of Beaumont Hospital to make sure this was a reality, and it's very nice to have you here today. You know, it's very interesting that we look at the reality of how medical schools are developed, and we look at this medical school, and I think that you students are the luckiest medical students in the country. I think Dr. Folberg and his staff has developed a caring culture that is extraordinary and will carry you throughout your career as you grow from student to resident, from resident to physicians treating the public. You know, you're going to face in this era of your practice the greatest technology growth that we've ever seen in medical science. It's going to be with warp speed. Dr. David Cutler, who is the Otto Eckstein Professor of Applied Economics at Harvard, who's renowned as one of the key experts in healthcare delivery, made the following observation a number of years ago. He said there have been three eras of medical development, and each era has been quite different. There was the time when there was the discovery of disease, there was the time to learn how to treat disease, and now we're in the process of the care delivery, where you've got to learn how to move the process directly. You're going to move into hospitals that you're going to learn to practice medicine in for the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, that 25 years from now won't be the kind of hospitals you'll be practicing in. Your patients will be using iPads and iPhones and other things to do diagnostics. So the reality is, with all of this change, what you have to leave is with your caring culture. You have to leave with your values. Because the one thing we as patients will always want from our physicians is we will want the encouragement, the handheld, the idea that you encourage us to move forward, that we're going to make it. That kind of personal care will never go out of style, no matter how much technology will occur in our society. So as chair of the board, we're deeply honored today to have you as the first graduating class of this great university, and I'm sure that all of you will go on to great things. You will be the leaders of medicine for the next number of decades, and as such, you will make this university proud, your families proud, and our country proud. Thank you very much. I would now like to call upon our president, Dr. George Hynd, to bring greetings from the university.
Good afternoon. I'm truly honored to take part in this commencement ceremony today, and I want to tell you a little bit about why. First, it is a rare and incredibly enviable privilege, frankly, to take part at the beginning of an event that is sure to become a distinguished tradition for Oakland University Beaumont School of Medicine. Secondly, and in my view more importantly, each one of you celebrating your graduation today has joined some of the most well-educated people in our society. You have stepped far beyond what have become standard educational expectations. You are risk takers, one and all. You have demonstrated tremendous, I think, resolve in the pursuit of your goals. 4 years ago, you decided to come to a brand new medical school. You elected to embrace an innovative academic vision that calls for a fundamental change in the way our healthcare community provides care to those in need. Change in any context can be and is often difficult, and fundamental change is exponentially difficult. Despite this, you have stepped forward to become pioneers in an evolution of healthcare services that is only now taking root in our society. You're to be commended for such courage, I think. I also need to commend you for agreeing to do far more than simply becoming students at a new medical school. Remarkably, each and every one of you has provided critical input into the curriculum and the facilities designed for our Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. You have also contributed to the establishment of medical student governance in the school. You have formed local chapters of national organizations and rose to leadership positions within them. You created the first medical school student interest groups, and it should be known that for all of those that follow you, that they will follow in true leadership and your footsteps. You've created a school's alumni association. Remarkably, we don't have any alumni yet, but very shortly you will join an elite group of people at Oakland University. And yes, you will receive those yearly phone calls. Commendably, you have set a high bar for academic performance of all of the classes that will succeed you. And I have no doubt, and neither should you, each and every one of you will always be a pioneer in what you pursue. I say this both in the context of what you already achieved and in terms of what you will achieve, I think, as you move forward. Today, you're joining a global community of essential service providers who play a critical role in the well-being of humankind. Without the work you will do, who can imagine how much knowledge and achievement may be gained? What I'm saying is not conjecture, nor is it some ceremonial nicety. It is simply a fact. Now, it is one thing, I think, for me to say how proud I am of each and every one of you, but we are surrounded with people today, here today, and those that were not able to attend, that are incredibly proud of your accomplishments. I hope you can embrace that feeling, celebrate your achievements, take a deep breath, and savor the moment. Soak in the joy and pride of all of those who are experiencing this moment with you. This is truly your day, but it is also their day as well. Tomorrow will come, and you will turn your minds and passions toward new challenges, new endeavors, new opportunities. But rest assured, there is virtually limitless potential, I think, before you. As students of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, you have had the privilege of interacting closely with some of the most accomplished and respected physicians and scholars in the world. You have mastered, I think, an extraordinarily rigorous curriculum and are now, I think, prepared to accomplish great things in this world, not the least of which will be alleviating the suffering of others. I wish you unbounded success in this endeavor, as well as in the pursuit of all of your goals, both professional and personal. I look forward to seeing and learning of the positive impacts that you will have wherever you go. I think you will find meaning in those accomplishments. And as you do go forward, please feel free to tell all the people you met and will meet that you found your wings at Oakland University's William Beaumont School of Medicine. More importantly, it's important that you come back and share your story with us, with the medical students that we have on campus, with the faculty that remain here and at Beaumont. But I bid you to remember to love someone else close to you with unbridled bliss, to laugh until you can't breathe, to really celebrate life's small challenges as they turn into opportunities. Once again, congratulations on your accomplishments. Thank you for having become a part of the academic community, for your valuable contributions as you've been here. And please know that while we no longer will see you as students, we will always regard you as friends. In closing, I'd like to once again wish you a future rich with success, meaning, and certainly happiness. I'm confident you will find all of these things because you are truly Grizzlies and pioneers, I will say. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, James Lentini, to the podium for a truly special acknowledgement included as part of today's ceremony. Jim?
Thank you, President Hynd. From time to time, an institution of higher education pauses in its affairs to take special recognition of individuals who have given unusual measure toward the betterment of humankind's intellectual, cultural, aesthetic, social, and civic fabric. In doing so, these remarkable people have touched the lives of others in significant ways. At this point in our ceremony, we take such pause to honor an outstanding individual. Just as the conferral of the doctoral degree is a university's recognition of the highest academic achievement, so also is the conferral of the doctorate honoris causa, a university's recognition of truly distinguished achievement beyond the classroom and campus. Today, Oakland University is proud to confer an honorary degree upon an outstanding citizen. I invite Mary Fisher to rise and step forward. It is with great honor and special privilege that Oakland University awards to you, Mary Fisher, the honorary degree Doctor of Humanities. The university wishes to recognize your transformative accomplishments as a leading humanitarian. You have demonstrated distinguished accomplishments and service within the scope of the arts, letters, sciences, professions, and public service as recognized and supported by the university. We honor you for contributing to the betterment of society and culture around the globe through your exceptional work as a philanthropist, author, and artist. Your work profoundly contributes to a deeper understanding of HIV/AIDS and demonstrates your commitment to giving voice to those facing discrimination, poverty, and powerlessness. You demonstrated courage by sharing your own story in order to lift the shroud of silence surrounding HIV/AIDS and challenging the nation to set aside prejudices and politics to make room for compassion and sound policy. Your advocacy has spanned 2 decades and the entire world as an individual and as a special representative to the United Nations. You have integrated art with action by training women in Zambia, Haiti, and other nations to make jewelry become artisans in their own right. In doing so, you have built a foundation for economic independence and strong communities. You established the Clinical AIDS Research and Education Fund to support clinical and outcomes-based research for persons with HIV/AIDS. You have contributed to the culture through your quilts, jewelry, handmade paper, photography, and publications. Your work as an artist and author has contributed to spreading your message of shared humanity, the need for compassion, and the value of a life of service. Oakland University is proud to recognize you as a distinguished individual of outstanding achievement by conferring upon you the degree of Doctor of Humanities honoris causa. I now request President Hynd and Dean Folberg to come forward to assist with the investiture. I now request, congratulations to our new Honorary Doctor of Humanities, and now I would like to invite Ms. Fisher to make a few comments.
Thank you very much. I'm deeply indebted to you, Dr. Hynd, and to your distinguished colleagues for this generous Doctorate of Humanities. I receive it with humility, accept it with thanks, and know that it will long remind me of this extraordinary occasion. I am honored by the degree you have conferred. I am even more deeply honored to be addressing the first graduating class of this institution, Charter Class of 2015. You have completed a rigorous curriculum. You have proven yourself academically and scientifically qualified. You have earned your degree. What will now be tested is your character. And your character will dictate whether a patient is a number, a research subject, a medical mystery, or a partner. I've been a patient far longer than you have been physicians. I've known clinicians who knew my diagnosis but not my name, who examined me with the same devotion they'd have shown a mushroom. But if Beaumont School of Medicine has been successful, you will leave understanding intimacy. You'll know that when you ask my medical history, you are asking me to confide in you as an act of intimacy. Even if I had not survived a radical bilateral mastectomy, when you look at my chest, your very looking is an act of intimacy. I permit you to touch me only so long as you remember you are touching me. And I allow you to probe and observe only so long as you remember that these are acts of intimacy. Intimacy demands trust. If I doubt your motives, if I see you hurry to finish rounds and move on, you'll fail the test of intimacy, and I will never trust you. Intimacy requires vulnerability. I understand that you must ask me to show you my body, but do you understand it is an act of intimacy and that I would like you to show me your soul? 20 years ago, I began visiting the public clinic of Dr. Michael Sagg, an eminent AIDS researcher and physician at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. In 1993, Mike introduced me to Billy Cox, one of Mike's patients with AIDS, a man of great courage and humor, and an absolute commitment to defeat his own AIDS. Billy's the boxer in the ring, Michael told me. The rest of us are fans and trainers. We offer advice, help where we're able, and then cheer him on. But truth is, he's the one that keeps us going. It's not the other way around. Late in 1994, I was speaking to a large audience in Alabama. When I'd finished, out of the crowd, nearly blind, needing crutches to move toward me, came Billy the boxer. Came to give you a hug, he said. We all need a little support. 6 weeks later, 7 years, 4 months, and 3 days after he tested positive for HIV, Billy Cox died, November 23rd, 1994. And here's a story worth being remembered if we would honor the promise of the Beaumont School of Medicine. On Billy's last day, Michael was leaving town to speak at a conference. He dropped by Billy's room to say he'd be gone for a day. But when he heard Billy's labored breathing and saw the color of his skin, he called Billy's family together and told them that the end was near. Then he summoned Billy's nurses. As caregivers and friends, professionals, and loved ones crowded into the room, Michael Sagg, famous researcher, gifted physician, laid his head down on Billy's heaving chest and, unashamed before the crowd, he wept. In barely audible gasps, he sobbed, "I'm sorry, Billy. I'm so, so sorry." In that one act of overwhelming intimacy, Michael put his character on display without embarrassment. He understood science, he understood dying, and he understood intimacy. Thank you for the distinction of my degree. If I could give you one gift, it would be the courage to be intimate. I'd ask that when you cannot cure the pain and suffering, you stand ready to share it. I'd pray that you gain the nobility to be weak and the strength to endure your own weaknesses. It was not in Michael's hands to cure Billy, but it was in his soul to love him. And in such love, there is healing beyond science and beyond words. Congratulations, class of 2015. You've been equipped as fine scientists, great clinicians, wonderful colleagues. What lies ahead is the opportunity to prove that you will be intimate healers.
It's my honor now to thank Mary, because Mary, you honor us by your presence. And now I'd like to invite to the podium a very distinguished physician. His biography is in the back of your program. A distinguished military physician, emergency physician, chair of emergency medicine, a dean, has done quite a bit in the area of outreach to communities, currently serves as the Chief Academic Officer of the Association of American Medical Colleges. Please join me in welcoming the distinguished Dr. John Prescott.
I was just telling Ms. Fisher, I don't know how I'm going to follow that. Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Bob, for that kind introduction. It's truly an honor to join you on this very, very auspicious occasion. Now, it's been reported that the famous Doonesbury cartoonist Gary Trudeau once said, "Commencement speeches were invented largely in the belief that outgoing students should never be released into the world until they have been properly sedated." Now, I mention this to you because when I received some very specific instructions from Dean Folberg when I agreed to speak, he told me, first and foremost, this commencement address is for our students and the families. Make it meaningful to them. Second, he said, keep it focused. Now, everybody on this side of the stage knows exactly what that means, but for those of you who are not familiar with Dean Talk, let me translate that last part. It means stick to the program and stay on time. Well, I must tell you that I've done my absolute best to follow his instructions, and I hope in the process not to sedate any of you, or worse yet, have to resuscitate any of you. I, too, want to extend my congratulations to all the members of the inaugural class of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, and offer very, very warm greetings to all of those folks on the wings, to the family and friends of the graduates. Your love and support were key factors in success and achievements of this distinguished class of students. Thank you very much for all that you've done. And I get to speak at a number of graduation ceremonies, but I'm going to tell you, it's wonderful to see as many faculty and staff here at this graduation. I want to say thank you for your hard work. You came from multiple institutions to create something very special. Thank you all of you, for all that you have done to make this a wonderful, wonderful institution. You took what was once a dream and you created a fully accredited, cutting-edge medical school for the 21st century. That's a lot to be very proud of. And your colleagues from the Association of American Medical Colleges and across the nation salute you in your tireless efforts to improve our nation's health through education, research, and clinical care. And I'd also like to recognize my esteemed colleague, Dr. Robert Folberg, for his foresight, persistence, leadership tenacity, an unwavering commitment to establish a medical school where students excel in both the science and the art of medicine. Congratulations, Bob, for your dedication and service. You are truly a national and state treasure, and the world is a better place because of you. There is absolutely no better place to be than right here, right now. Graduates, today you are celebrating the fact that you're joining over 19,000 other medical students who represent the next generation of physicians in our country. And like the generations of physicians before you, you too are passionate about your profession. You place a great value on the need for selfless service, and you have a strong desire to improve the health of your patients and communities. In a matter of weeks, you'll be continuing your medical education and residency programs across the nation. And it is there that you'll appreciate even more the knowledge and the wisdom you have received here at the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. Now, my job at the AAMC, the Association of Medical Colleges, allows me to travel across the country. And over the past few years, I've visited some 45 different medical schools. And my travels have convinced me that this new and developing medical school is truly a very special place, a belief that became crystal clear when I visited 2 months ago. Anyone who spends more than just a few minutes at this medical school will be deeply impressed with its strong commitment to medical education and its equally strong commitment to the community. It quite simply is doing a great job at preparing its students to become skillful, compassionate, successful physicians and leaders for the 21st century. Exactly what our chair of the board was talking about just a moment ago, preparing for the 21st century. What impressed me most during my meetings with students and faculty and administrators was the positive energy emanating from everyone during all of my interactions. A key theme in each of those conversations was the caring ethos of this school. And I was struck by how everyone here cares so earnestly for each other. I was at the dinner last night, and I heard the dean talk about his first time on campus and was stopped in the hospital and asked for directions, and someone escorted him to the right place. Well, when I came here 2 months ago, I was lost in the hospital, and guess what? That same thing happened. Someone took me to the exact same place that I needed to go, and another story of the caring ethos here. It's been well documented in academic medicine that a positive learning environment impacts not only the students and faculty, but translates into optimal care for patients. Quality medical care is enhanced when institutions recognize that the value of creating and sustaining an educational setting focused on bringing out the very best. Learners, physicians, and other care providers can instantly recognize such an environment from the moment they step into it. Those of you who are or have been patients also immediately know when you're in a setting where the values of integrity and respect, compassion, and commitment are intertwined with caring communication, close teamwork, and efficient operations. It's not a secret that the faculty and staff of OUWB worked diligently during the school's formation to put into place a curriculum that focused on the critical components of professionalism and to establish a caring culture that would extend well beyond the classroom. And in the process, they succeeded in addressing head-on the well-documented loss of humanism that so many medical students encounter in their education. So I shouldn't have been surprised by the poignant question posed to me by one of the students during my visit here in March. I was having lunch with a group of you, and we were talking about a variety of issues. And I believe we were discussing the transition from fourth year to residency when I was asked, how do I take the positive learning environment and caring culture that I've experienced here at OUWB with me as I begin my residency? Now that question made me pause. How do I take the positive learning environment and caring culture that I have experienced here at OUWB with me as I began my residency? This student so valued his education and his experiences that he wanted to be able to take them with him as he began the next phase of his education and professional development. Now, being a professor from an outside, you can stumble through and fake it, which is pretty much what I did. I didn't have much of an answer at that particular time. And I knew my answer was inadequate. And while there were very memorable moments of my visit, this one was one that I came back to again and again on my flight home and for the next several weeks. And today it's become a central theme of my remarks. The student was asking about what academicians call the optimal learning and clinical environment. Now, some may scoff at the notion that there's an ideal learning environment for physicians that can exist anywhere outside of medical school, outside that very controlled medical school setting. You can almost hear skeptics say, there's a crisis in medicine where the environment is anything but optimal. And they're right. It isn't optimal. Things can't be perfectly planned as they are in the curriculum. So on one level, they're right to question the premise because our nation and our profession face a growing number of serious challenges. The high cost of medical education remains an ongoing challenge, and many of us work in medical systems that are often inefficient, impersonal, and far too expensive. The projected physician shortage is real and will worsen in the coming years. Schools like OUWB were created to help meet the needs of the future, yet it's not enough to simply increase the numbers of students. We need to increase the number of residency slots for those graduating students. The baby boomers are getting older, and they've said they're never going to die. So they're going to need a lot of medical care. We need doctors, very seriously, and we need more residence positions along the way for students who, like you, are graduating. Chronic underinvesting in our critical biomedical research initiatives is delaying cures and cutting into America's leading edge. We've always been known for our biomedical advances, and others are now catching up and beginning to pass us because of our lack of investment in them. Health inequities exist across large portions of our populations, and despite our best efforts, we have not achieved the desired diversity we seek in new generations of healthcare providers. Many of our veterans wait for needed health care, and far too often well-intentioned physicians and healthcare providers miss a very critical component in the veteran's medical history by failing to ask all of their patients, everyone, if they've ever served. Veterans' needs, highlighted repeatedly in the press over the past year, serve as a warning of other potential breakdowns in American healthcare. Within academic medicine, we face rising student debt, even as the faculty who teach these same students are feeling ongoing pressure to do more with less resources. And finally, the emergence of exotic, deadly diseases such as Ebola are no longer isolated threats. They're the new reality. So yes, class of 2015, just as you recognize the fact that to succeed in medicine, you must be lifelong learners, there are simultaneous realization that you need to confront these and other problems. And you have to confront them in order to create the optimal learning and clinical environments that we want. But before you move into despair, I want you to know that despite all the negatives, I believe in my heart of hearts that you are truly entering what I will call the new golden age of medicine. Now, again, some may question that. They questioned that 35 years ago when I was graduating from medical school. I heard this from my own faculty that again, medicine had already passed its golden age. Well, I didn't believe that rhetoric then, and I don't believe it now. The reality is that medicine is in transition. It always has been and always will be, and change makes us all wish for the good old days. As a profession, we are never satisfied with what is. Just ask your faculty members. They're never satisfied with what is. They're always striving for making something better. Always looking for better, and sometimes our complaints are often misinterpreted as discontent. And a reality that we do face is that many of our naysayers, most of whom it seems concentrated right in Washington, D.C., just a few blocks from where I work, make their living tearing down a profession and they have never practiced and barely understand. Yet medicine is changing in so many great ways. I envy you and the opportunities that exist for you as you move forward. We know more about the causes and treatments of diseases and injuries than at any time in the past. Care is becoming more personalized, precise, and impactful, and we are truly beginning to harness the benefits of information technology in increasingly insightful ways. If you want further evidence, of all that is good in medicine, just simply look around this room. The best and the brightest are here to dedicate their lives to the service of others. Class of 2015, you along with your colleagues from across the nation must fulfill your destiny and work together to meet the challenges of today, even as you prepare for those of tomorrow. Physicians over the millennia have always stepped up, utilizing the tools and educational resources available to them, and have created solutions to vexing problems. Similarly, you and your classmates must embrace this opportunity to make an impact, utilizing the knowledge, the skills, and resources at your disposal to lead the profession into a new age. And to succeed in this process, you must take time to care for yourself and for those closest to you. Again, take time to care for yourself and those closest to you. Our profession struggles to balance the demands of being a physician with the demands of being a mother, a father, partner, daughter, son, friend, just to name a few of the roles you may encounter. Thus, our personal and professional success comes down to our behavior and our resilience in the face of daunting situations and everyday challenges. So I ask the question, recognizing the stressors you are going to face, what can you do as an individual to promote your own resilience as you contribute to a favorable learning and clinical environment wherever you train? And how can you take full advantage of what the modern golden age of medicine will offer? I've told some of you that I'm an academic physician. I'm a father of 3 daughters, one of whom is a medical student. My wife's a radiologist. And I'd like to at least share with you 4 tactics that have been helpful for my wife and I as we've moved forward in our careers. First and foremost, surround yourself with these individuals, your family and friends who are supportive and loving. They can be a source of strength to you on the roughest of days, and always listen closely to their advice. 32 years ago, as an overly confident, pretty cocky, increasingly hardened resident, my parents pulled me aside one day on a visit home and quite simply asked, what happened to their son? What happened to their son who wanted from this high to be a physician, wanted to care for people? My parents held up a mirror to me, and I saw someone I didn't like very much. And thank goodness, I had the common sense to swallow my pride and make some much-needed personal changes in my life. My mother doesn't believe I still tell this story 32 years later, but I do, and it's a true fact. Second, cultivate relationships with trusted colleagues, and this is really important to you too. Look for peers and experienced physicians with whom you can confide challenging situations, process what's happening, and turn to for advice. They can be helpful in supporting your career and your development as a leader of a medical team. More importantly, these are the individuals who always have your back. I never really knew what that term meant until I was in the military. And then that whole term really sunk into me. Having people that you can go to and count on, whatever it is incredibly important for you. And for you to be there for them and them to be there for you, you want that kind of relationship, work at it, find those individuals. Third, maintain a personal hobby or interest. Now, all of you, I guarantee, are much better at this than I ever was. Your generation does this far better than probably this generation back here. And we laud you, we congratulate you for that. Stick with it. Find time. Do things that are outside of being a physician. You'll be thankful that you did. For me, it's being outdoors, more specifically being in touch with nature. Let me hike in a new area or put me near a river or lake with a fishing pole in my hand. In just a few hours, the whole world looks better, and I certainly feel rejuvenated. Find something like that for you. Fourth, look outward and get involved in the world. There are complex problems and non-medical issues where your ability to gather data, to think through situations and recommend specific solutions will be invaluable. So think about volunteering in your community, with your church, or a civic group. Maybe even politics is calling for you. Always give yourself permission to turn off your cell phone, pull out the earbuds, and actually, reconnect with others. Remembering that you are part of a larger society and being active in a non-medical world can often provide a perspective you need to grow as an individual and as a physician. Over the years, I've been active with the Boy Scouts, school boards, boards of several nonprofits, church groups, the United Way, and now veterans issues. And in every instance, I know that what I got out of the experience was far more than what I was able to contribute. Graduates, there are obviously many more ways than just the few I mentioned to develop and maintain resilience throughout your career. Family and friends, trusted colleagues, outside interests, and getting involved in the non-medical world have been essential to me. It's my wish and hope that you will carefully consider how you will make every day going forward a meaningful one that brings out the very best of you as a person and a physician. So to answer that student's question about how to take the positive learning environment forward, well, the answer is that it will take dedication, sacrifice, desire, and willingness to work with others to create something special. Dedication, sacrifice, desire, and willingness to create something special. A process like that which was used by Dr. Folberg and many others in this room to create this medical school. Learn from those who have gone before you and continue the kindness you've experienced here, no matter what. And if you do this, you will embody what physicians always strive to be, and you will keep alive the lessons you have learned here at the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. Do this, and you will ensure that this golden age of medicine is the most humanistic, caring, and impactful era mankind has ever known. Thank you again for the opportunity to address you on this wondrous occasion, and the best to you in the years to come, and welcome to the profession of medicine. Thank you.
Dr. Prescott, thank you very much. It is a privilege for me now to introduce to you and invite to the podium Dr. Angela Nuzzarello, Associate Dean for Student Affairs.
Class of 2015, I'm so honored to be standing before you today. It seems like it was just yesterday that you entered OUWB, a bit nervous, a bit excited, but mostly ready to get to work. What you have accomplished is remarkable. To see you change and grow over the last 4 years has been a privilege. We hardly recognize you seated before us today. Being a part of your journey is what makes my job feel really not like a job at all. You know I'm big on reflections. So for one last time, you don't have to post this on Moodle, but I would like you to just take a moment and think about the one resident that made the biggest impact on you. What was it that that resident said or did? How did that resident make you feel? Remember those qualities. In just over a month, you will be a resident and students will be looking up to you. They will be watching everything you do. Be that resident. Be the resident who listens and understands students. Be that resident that encourages students. Be that resident that creates an environment where students can grow and learn. We are so proud of you. You helped us make OUWB what it is today, what it will be for the future, and for that, we thank you. I would now like to ask President Hynd to confer degrees to our inaugural class graduates.
On the nomination of the faculty of Oakland University and by the authority of the state of Michigan, vested in the Board of Trustees and delegated to me, I hereby confer upon you the degree Doctor of Medicine. I now invite Dr. Nuzzarello to return to the podium and our graduate candidates to please come forward for individual recognition with their PRISM mentors.
Thank you, President Hynd. For the presentation of diplomas and ceremonial hooding, our graduates will be called to the stage by their PRISM groups. While the group is making their way to the stage, I wanted to just take a moment to explain why we have physician mentors assisting students with their hoods. These physicians have played an important role in mentoring and supporting their students over the past 4 years. The mentors have helped the students don their first white coats. They read monthly reflections. They met one-on-one with students. They listened to the students as they expressed concerns and frustrations, and they celebrated all of their successes. On behalf of all of the students, we would like to thank our physician mentors for all they have done for the class of 2015. I would now like to invite each member of our graduating class to come to the stage as your name is called for presentation of your diploma and your ceremonial hooding. Please hold your applause until the last student has received her diploma. At that time, we will recognize all of the students. Our first mentor is Dr. David Bloom, who will be assisted in hooding by Dr. Nelia Afonso, Assistant Dean for Community Integration and Outreach. Dr. Christina Awad. Dr. Lucy Buckelhide. Lucy's father, Dr. Kim Buckelhide, is assisting in hooding her. Dr. Stephanie Ann Goike. Dr. Ashley Jill Guthrie. Dr. Christopher Donald Yeager. Dr. Nicole Letterman. Dr. Joshua McCarran. Dr. Ann Wagner. Dr. Amanda Ann Zakur. Assisting in the hooding is Dr. Demir David Zakur. Our next mentor is Dr. Varsha Karamchandani, who will be assisted by Dr. Linda Gillum, Associate Dean for Academic and Faculty Affairs. Dr. Andrew Anise. Dr. Lori Bossary. Dr. Adam Hills. Dr. Nicholas Teun Linkus. Dr. Lauren Michelle Mecca. Dr. Syed Rizvi. Dr. Sarah Elizabeth Ropp. Dr. Kara Lynn Toretta. Dr. Elizabeth Ann White. Our next mentor is Dr. Sanford Coltoneau, assisted by Dr. Robert McCauley, Associate Dean for Institutional Effectiveness and Technology. Dr. George Alchemis. Dr. Melissa Nicole Elaine Basie. Dr. Michael Bonnet. Dr. Laura Elizabeth Diffenderfer. Dr. John Heemstra. Dr. Kimberly E. Lumpkin. Assisting in the hooding is Dr. Joyce A. Lumpkin. Dr. David McNaughton. Dr. Jacqueline Pastuski. Dr. Sarah Singer. Dr. Adam Weiner. Assisting in the hooding is Adam's father, Dr. Asher Weiner. Our next mentor is Dr. Lem No, and he will be assisted by Dr. Linda Misra, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Clinical Education. Dr. Ashley Lynn Altman. Dr. Jacob John Bingham. Dr. Alexander Michael DeMar. Dr. Jonathan Goyke. Dr. Sivatheja Mandava. Dr. Kelly Ann Morga. Dr. Kevan Salapur. Dr. Mark Vandervliet. Dr. Amanda Shee. Our next physician mentor is Dr. Kathy Schlecht. She will be assisted by Dr. Robert Nueva, Associate Dean for Medical Education. Dr. Andrew Angus. Dr. Samir Surendra Bhagwan. Dr. Jonathan Isaac Chapman. Dr. Alexandra Renee DePoor. Dr. Harmal Gill. Dr. Brandon Lujak. Dr. Ariel Mintz. Dr. Saad Liaquat Sahi. Dr. Sarah Elizabeth Willits. Please join me in a round of applause for all of our new doctors. I would now like to introduce our student speaker, Dr. Sahi, who was chosen by his classmates to present remarks during today's program. Please welcome Dr. Sahi.
Thank you, Dr. Nizzarello. Let me get these fixed. Okay. Good afternoon. On behalf of the charter class of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our friends, families, fellow students, faculty, administration, and distinguished guests. Most importantly, I would like to welcome and thank our parents, because we would not be here today without their support. Welcome to OUWB. As I worked on the speech over the last few weeks, I considered sharing some thoughtful advice with my classmates. After all, today is the first day I get to give them advice as a learned doctor. They would have to listen. But the truth is, I am no wiser than any of them, and it would be foolish of me to stand up here and pretend otherwise. Instead, as we celebrate our achievements and reflect on the last 4 years, I'd like to share with you all what it felt like to be a member of the charter class. I still remember when I got the phone call from Dean Grabowski. She gave me an offer of acceptance to medical school. My excitement and gratitude was uncontainable. And a few weeks later, I realized I wasn't the only one happy to be here. There was a certain sense of togetherness, of belonging, that would prove to be the greatest support system I could have ever asked for. When I think about it, being a medical student at OUWB is kind of like being at Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family. We were never on our own. I remember staying up late into the night, sometimes all night, in the study rooms of O'Dowd Hall, cramming for our neuroscience exams. Before the final exam, every study room was full, and Pat, the custodian, he would make his rounds checking on us, making sure we were doing all right. Sometimes he'd peek in the door and look at our notes and say things like, "Oh yeah, the medulla oblongata, totally, man. That's gonna be on the test." Pat was always there for us. He was a member of our OUWB family, and he wasn't the only one. But we've had more than just support. We've had opportunity. We were given the chance to help build an institution. Sure, there are plenty of hurdles and challenges. There were mistakes, but nobody and nothing is perfect. I mean, I still remember walking by Dean Folberg and Dr. Bahada Singh on my very first clerkship in the hospital. Dr. Bahada Singh is actually the chair of obstetrics and gynecology, and I was actually rotating through his department. They asked me how I was going, what rotation I was on, so naturally I said, "Actually, I'm really enjoying my time on OB-GYN, especially my week on gynecology." I then walked away, realized what I said, and never looked back. Mistakes happen. It's like that time Kayvon, my dear friend and roommate, he was at an AMA student meeting presenting on the food desserts in Detroit. He'd been reading about how bad they were, and he was genuinely concerned. He couldn't understand why people wanted to provide dessert to help fight chronic illness. You see, he didn't realize that he was actually reading about food deserts. And he should have been presenting on geographic areas with very little nutritious and affordable food. But maybe he's right. Maybe we should be worried about the dessert options in Detroit. The point is, we learned a lot from our mistakes, partly because we got to make those mistakes our way. We didn't have any upperclassmen to guide us. In retrospect, I'm glad that was the case, because one of the best parts about being in the charter class was the faculty mentorship. I have had the opportunity to work with and to learn from some of the most inspiring doctors I've ever met. I received more guidance, support, and encouragement than I could have ever imagined. But most importantly, I have been allowed my ambition and my ideals, allowed to create my own path, allowed to feel as if I can truly make an impact in the world of medicine. Above all else, I've had the distinct privilege of spending the last 4 years with the charter class, not only as friends and classmates, but also as part of something bigger than ourselves. We are the first ever class to graduate from a brand new medical school. That is something special. That is something that has had an incredibly strong influence and impact on me, as a student, as a person, and today, as a doctor. It reminds me of the great astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, who said, "Who are we, if not measured by our impact on others?" That's who we are. We are not who we say we are. We are not who we want to be. We are the sum of the influence and impact that we have in our lives on others. I wanted to share this with you because on this memorable day, only now do I appreciate the meaning of the words influence and impact.
These words have made me far more aware of my own impact on others. And as I think about the kind of legacy that we will leave behind as the charter class of OUWB, I believe that nothing will say more about us than the impact that we have on our future patients. This has become increasingly important to me as I think about starting my residency training on July 1st. When I stop focusing on who I think I am and who I want to be, and start focusing on the patients, I remember why I became a doctor in the first place. While it's important of me to take care of myself, it is also important for me to be aware of my impact on my patients and others. We ought to take care of ourselves so that we can take better care of our patients. What better legacy can we leave than that? To be honest, I realize now that my own awareness of my impact on others came from the hidden curriculum at OUWB. I'm talking about the things that I learned from simply being present as a medical student here. I learned to work hard because that will make me most competent, allow me to take better care of my patients. I learned to be kind, even on the days that are really bad, because my worst day doesn't compare to what a patient might be dealing with. And I learned to be humble, to avoid making mistakes out of confidence that could harm the patient. I learned all these things from you, my classmates. I learned them from watching you work hard, from receiving your kindness, and from witnessing your humility. I realize now that being more aware of my impact on others will remind me to work hard, to be kind, and to stay humble. For that, I would like to thank the entire OUWB community for giving me far more than just medical education, for teaching me what it really means to take care of others. And to the charter class, thank you for the last 4 years. I would not have made it without you. I wish you all a life and career full of success and fulfillment, and I can't wait to watch our legacy take shape. Thank you, and good luck.
Dr. Sahi, thank you for that brilliant address to us. You know, a few weeks ago, I was traveling and I boarded a flight back to Michigan, and planning for the commencement was on my mind. It was all that I could think of. So as I settled into the seat on the airplane, I imagined the captain making the following announcement. Good afternoon, this is your captain, and I want to assure you that the airline has certified me as competent to fly this craft. I don't know what you would do, I'd be the first person out the door. And I suspect that other passengers would be quick to follow me off the plane, because we expect our pilots to be more than competent. We hope that each of them would be capable of landing the plane on the Hudson if that were required, but also calming all of us on the way through the crisis. You see, the public expects that of their physicians. They expect it of you, they expect it of all of us. We're expected to exceed competency and to nurture and develop those personal qualities that can calm someone in need of all of us who are physicians. OUWB was designed to help you answer two questions successfully. What do I want to do? And as Dr. Sahi alluded to, who do I want to be? Because to us at OUWB, the answers to both questions are equally important. The what do I want to do was answered by your mastery of the information and technical skills, and you have been recognized for this accomplishment by receiving your diploma and your hood today. You are now doctors of medicine. To answer the second question, who do I want to be, requires training, practice, and commitment. You were invited to come to OUWB because you excelled academically and because you provided evidence to us that you had experiences and attributes that predicted that you would become physicians who are empathetic, compassionate, and engaged. You were immersed in a learning environment that modeled for you behaviors that we believe are important for physicians to demonstrate, and your curriculum embedded elements such as PRISM, self-directed learning, and a re-examination of who I want to be through a sustained immersion in medical humanities and clinical bioethics alongside the sciences. And over the course of 4 years, you re-examine the commitment that you made to the study of medicine when you recited the Declaration of Geneva at your white coat ceremony in August of 2011, the end of your very first week of medical studies here. You as a class modified the Declaration in ways that are insightful and meaningful. In a few moments, you are going to recite the oath of or affirmation that you created. You make this commitment publicly, not silently, and although you will recite this individually, you will recite this as a community, as a class. Among the innovations found in the oath that this class created are these. You are promising to take care of yourselves so that you may care for others. For you, it is not enough to promise to do no harm. You are promising to advocate for your patient's best interests. For you, patients are not defined by their illnesses. They are not problems to be solved. They are individuals who come to you for help, and therefore you are promising to recognize your patients as individuals with spiritual, social, and emotional needs. Your OUWB humanistic education has prepared you for this. You recognize that we all have conscious and even unconscious biases that, if unchecked, could compromise our ability to practice medicine. And how could it be otherwise if we acknowledge that everyone has infinite value? You consider the practice of medicine to be a privilege. You promise to honor the profession of medicine and to conduct yourselves with compassion and dignity. Now, toward the end of this remarkable oath or declaration, you promise to be brave in the face of adversity. How would you accomplish this? And I offer to you two possible solutions. Identifying role models such as Mary Fisher, will help you to realize that others are capable of bravery and you can aspire to be like them. A second approach. When the former dean of the Geisel School of Medicine at Dartmouth, my colleague Chip Shoba, spoke at honors convocation here a short time ago, he encouraged all of us to create for ourselves a noble vision of who we might be, and he suggested that by clinging to this vision, we can overcome adversity. Today, I suggest to you, the members of the charter class, that if you keep the promises you are about to make, you will, over a professional lifetime, not only continue to accumulate knowledge and skills as lifelong learners, you will also continue to answer the question, who do I want to be? And I also suggest that you will spend your lives answering the question, who do I want to be? And I recommend to you this afternoon that the answer to both questions of what do I want to do and who do I want to be are foundational to the practice of medicine. Now finally, I call your attention to a line in your oath that appears in the original Declaration of Geneva. It's a statement you recited just about 4 years ago at your white coat ceremony. It says, I will give to my teachers respect and gratitude that is their due. And I wouldn't blame you for thinking that this verse pertains to you giving honor and respect to the faculty, to us, and to the people who will be teaching you in your residency. But this afternoon, I want to suggest to you an alternative reading of that verse. You see, as we all grow in the profession of medicine, we lose our teachers. Some retire. Others come to exist only in our memories. Many of my own teachers are no longer available for me to consult when I reach the limitation of my knowledge and skills. So to whom do I turn now for advice and for help? I turn to the very students I taught. Frequently stymied by a case that challenges my ability, I turn to my younger colleagues for help, and very often they are the very people who studied with me, who were my students. And I want to emphasize to you that in a very real sense, I owe them, my students, the respect and gratitude that is their due. Today, you cross an educational threshold, and you are now known as doctors of medicine. You have become our colleagues, and by reformulating the Oath of Geneva into the oath of the class of 2015, you have become our teachers. We respect you, and we thank you. I invite you now to rise and to prepare to commit yourselves publicly to the profession of medicine, and I invite all physicians present to rise and to affirm these commitments aside our new colleagues. Please recite each verse after me. I solemnly dedicate my life to the service of humanity. I will care for myself so that I am able to care for others. I will advocate for my patients' best interests and protect them from harm. I will recognize the spiritual, social, and emotional needs of my patients. I will respect patient autonomy. I will protect the doctor-patient relationship by maintaining confidentiality within constraints of the law. I will honor the practice of medicine and conduct myself professionally. My colleagues will be my brothers and sisters. I will acknowledge my limitations and ask for help when I need it. I understand that my clinical decisions and political actions will impact society. I commit to lifelong scholarship and will let evidence guide my practice. I will give to my teachers the respect and gratitude that is their due. I will not allow personal bias to unjustly alter my practice of medicine. I will resist coercion and will not use my medical knowledge to violate human rights. I will be brave in the face of adversity. I am privileged to practice medicine, and I will do so with compassion and dignity. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. I invite all the physicians to be seated and the graduating class to remain standing. And I offer you this opportunity to look to the right, to look to the left, and extend appreciation to all of you who accompanied you on this journey through OUWB. And now I invite you to turn to the section that is just behind you, because the OUWB student body will be the first to congratulate you. And I now invite everyone to join in the celebration of congratulating the graduates of the first class of the Oakland University School of Medicine, the class of 2015, the charter class. The new physicians who have just graduated from the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine will now prepare for the recessional. When they reach the exterior of this venue, they will be led by Carver Fay through the arches of the Elliott Tower, where they'll be greeted by ringing bells. They will then proceed to a reception area, a tent across from the tower. We would be especially grateful to everyone present if you could keep the aisles clear until the platform and party and the faculty have exited the hall. We invite you all to join us in a joyous celebration of this event. It is my privilege now to declare the first commencement of this medical school to be completed. Dean Rozek, Professor Cunningham.